What is data-driven innovation? What does that really mean? What is innovation? When we talk about data-driven innovation, we talk about culture, leadership, and process. But is this really what innovation is? I'm Chris Pahura, and welcome to my channel, Breaking Status Quo. Today, I'll peel away the ambiguity of data-driven innovation, so you have the information you need to reinforce your position with your colleagues, managers, and executives. Let's get started. The top 5 building blocks of data-driven innovation. Number 5, the innovation definition. Successful innovation requires us to define innovation so that we can identify it, observe it, and measure its effectiveness. Innovation is the value created by connecting unconnected things. Innovations can be tangible, such as smartphones, factory machines, and construction materials. Innovation can be intangible, including product ideas, perspectives, and processes. Tangible or intangible, innovation must support the organization's needs for revenue growth. And revenue growth requires more than the right leadership, the right business models, and the right products and services. Revenue growth requires the right human capital. The right human capital for leaders and managers, the right human capital for operations, and the right human capital for business development. To know that we have the right human capital, we need to have the right data. And all of this needs to find itself into the definition. So the definition is relevant to an executive audience. To establish data-driven innovation as an executive priority, you need to establish human capital and data capital as true capital assets. This means that you evaluate both human capital and data capital into hard dollars and review their returns on investment, just like any other capital asset. Be very careful when defining data-driven innovation. It's way too easy for the definition to downgrade to the Frankenstein monster stitched and stapled together with politics. Once the politics change, the monster and all innovation falls apart. Building block number 4, softening hard behaviors. Successful data-driven innovation requires keeping specific cultural elements and behaviors in check, allowing other behaviors more positive to innovation to take root and grow. Behaviors include how we use tools, how we work on autopilot, how we use models, and how we specialize. We often dismantle innovation by using the new tools the same way as we use the old tools, such as using microwaves as ovens, or smartphones as landlines, or laptops as notepads. We dismantle innovation by working on autopilot, doing things reactively rather than proactively, such as too many meetings, too many backlogs, and important things slipping off the radar. We dismantle innovation by how we use and execute on ideas and models, often using them in a way that was never intended, such as developing and executing strategy, managing key projects, and developing key talent, all leading to negative results. We dismantle innovation by focusing on specializing, such as our position on leadership, how we manage strategies, and how we use methodologies and approaches. And it's our differences that can break a high-performance team because we have no common ground on how to work with each other. For successful data-driven innovation, we need to keep these behaviors in check. Building block number 3, the data-driven business model. Successful data-driven innovation requires the support of a data-driven business model, an overarching business model that allows us to understand and anticipate the future changes that our organization needs to make to remain competitive. We would use this business model to help us identify and prioritize current and future innovations, and estimate the level of impact that these innovations would have. The more complete the data-driven business model, the more value we get from data-driven innovation. Building block number 2, tame the right data. Successful data-driven innovation requires us to collect, manage, and maintain the right data. The right data to trigger the right behaviors, have the right conversations, collect the right measurements, and establish a transparent organization. We gather the right data to help trigger behaviors that make people more proactive and more strategic. Rather than reacting to events, we can proactively manage and plan for events. Rather than reacting to new hires, products not making their numbers, or changes in the organization and strategy, we can proactively plan and manage them through triggered behaviors. We also gather the right data to have the right conversations, at the right level with the right scope. Conversations around what we're doing, what is regulatory doing, what are our industry peers doing, what is our competition doing, and why should customers still buy from us? And after all that, what are the options and our next steps? We need all that data to have the right conversations. We also gather the right data to do the right measurements. Measurements that we're on track, measurements that we're meeting our numbers, measurements that we're hiring the right people and satisfying the right customers. And we gather the right data to ensure we have complete transparency in the organization. Successful data-driven innovation requires us to tame the right data. And the number one building block for data-driven innovation? The right human capital. Successful data-driven innovation requires making the right investments in the right human capital. Human capital that has skills in management consulting, business development, and data from both an operational and strategic level. It's common that this human capital is acquired from consulting firms that specialize in both management consulting and data. Consultants are brought on to transfer their knowledge, culture, and key behaviors involving data-driven innovation to establish a strong talent pool, competency, and center of excellence. Successful data-driven innovation requires the right management consultants managing and coaching your right human capital. Those were the top 5 building blocks for data-driven innovation. Do you feel like I missed something or need to go deeper into something else? Let me know by commenting below. Subscribe, and thanks for listening.